Good morning, everybody. How are we all doing? Sam here, United People's TV. What day is it? Thursday. We're nearly through week one of the international break. We're nearly halfway there. And yesterday was quite an interesting live show, really. You all seem to love it when news breaks when I'm live because you get the sort of the unfiltered reaction, I suppose. And yesterday we got the news that Richard Arnold is going to be leaving the club, aka he's getting booted out the door. Richard Arnold is effectively walking before he gets pushed, trying to take some sort of dignity at the end of it. And Manchester United announced it yesterday. Announced it to, well, with official statement, announced it to New York Stock Exchange. And it's a big start. Okay, before Ineos have even completed their minority takeover, we're having confirmation that Richard Arnold is leaving. And there's more to follow. Okay, we're going to be speaking about Jean-Claude Blanc today, and especially today because I'm going to be releasing my proper. I'll speak about the video a little bit later on. The video on Jean-Claude Blanc, and then we're going to be speaking about John Murtough. We're going to be speaking about Paul Mitchell, and we're going to be speaking about some actual details about the announcement itself, which are starting to emerge from the Telegraph in terms of what shares are being purchased and how they're being purchased. So we're finally getting a bit more information on that, and then we can have a little conversation about anything else you'd like to this morning. Who's here for the member gang? Let's have a look. Saeed Poz, good morning to you. We've got Basil Funkenstein, which that's a great name. That's like a stage name. Nick, we've got Robert, Josh, Grinfor, Frankie Jayers, Ant, good morning to you. Haley, you're there as well. Lone Wolf, we've got Madhouse Stew. We've got Josh, good morning to you. Moonraker, that is an OG James Bond film. Ian, how you doing, buddy? Lots of you there. Who's on Facebook? Let's have a look. We've got Siraj, Mark Crockett. Good morning to you. Francois Poti. That's a new name. John Linus, Chris Wynn, and Ezra and Glenn. Good morning to both of you. And we've there's a super chat there from someone saying, I've just had my wisdom tooth removed. I hope you have some better news than I will today. Well, have you got that? You know, when you get like one side of your face is like, after you come back from the dentist. It goes. All right. You'll be fine. Before I jump into the news and the full conversation that we're about to have today around Ratcliffe, around Ineos, around all the changes, the structural changes, I want to say a big congratulations to Diogo Dalot. The birth of his daughter, Clara, happened yesterday. Remember that he was given absence from international duty for personal reasons. And it was because his partner was giving birth and she's given birth. So congratulations to both of them. You can see who's that in the comments. David De Gea, Juan Mata, Amrabat's there, Ruben Diaz, Rafael Leal, all saying congratulations to him. So we'll all say congratulations to him as a community as well. But yeah, Diogo Dalot, he's a dad. Congrats to him. But look, let's jump straight into with 3 minutes in. We've already got the introductions done. Let's waste absolutely no time today in jumping in to war. This is it's happening quicker than I thought it would. And that's a good thing. I still have my look, we've all got our doubts about Ratcliffe and about what change is really going to happen at our football club. But yesterday, we got the confirmation that Richard Arnold is going to be, as I said, stepping down. A dude is running away before he gets booted out the door is a fairer way to describe the exit of Richard Arnold. All right. Now we were speaking yesterday. What's do you have any opinions on it that we didn't discuss yesterday? Now that the news is settled, do you see it as big news? What's your overall opinion on it? Because for me, for this to have happened at this stage, before the announcement, now when it comes to the takeover itself, the minority takeover, right? We should be getting an announcement on that. It's written in the Telegraph, and I'll speak about that in a little bit later in the show. Should be getting an announcement on that maybe at the end of this week. It's going to happen at some point in this international break. Okay? That's when we're going to get the statement. Like the statement there from Manchester United saying Richard Arnold has decided to leave. We'll get a similar statement coming through saying Ineos have completed a minority takeover of United, and there should be some more details released on that. There should probably be a statement from Ineos. I imagine there'll be some words from the Glazers. Don't know, don't care. Hopefully not. And hopefully there's going to be more information on the actual structure, on what actually happens next. Because once the statement is done, it's still going to take about 6 to 8 weeks. But going back to Richard Arnold down there, and you've mentioned it in the comments there, and for me, wow. When Ed Woodward, again, he left, but he was sacked. Maybe he wasn't sacked. Don't really know with Woodward because he was the Glazers' pet. When Woodward left, I had real hope, more optimism than hope. Are they technically the same thing? I had optimism that Richard Arnold coming in would be better than Ed Woodward, right? I hoped that he would be. And I think he had some intentions to be. There were some lessons he learned from what Woodward had got wrong. And he tried to, with the beginnings of a modern football structure. John Murtough coming in, and I actually don't know what he's, I think he's a director of football. I'm not really sure. But the thing, Ant mentioned it there, the thing that really showed his lack of leadership was the Mason Greenwood situation. All right. Throughout the whole process that took so long, even after all the charges were dropped against Mason, for a lot of us, it felt like quite an easy decision to make. I'm not saying that we all did, all right? And geez, as I said, on this channel, in this community, we've had some mad things happen to this football club over the last 12 months that we've all had to not position yourselves on, but we've all got our opinions on it, and they don't all always agree. But with the Mason Greenwood situation, my word, did he handle that wrong? And probably the main reason he handled it wrong, well, in my opinion, he got the decision wrong, and the only reason that he changed his mind is because it was leaked, and he was like, "Oh shit, I think I got this one wrong," and it was only at that point that he changed his mind. And talk about weak leadership. As a leader, you're good in any vein of life. If you're going to make a leader, you're gonna make a decision that not everyone agrees with. And that decision there was a prime example. Stuart saying he wasn't fired, he wanted out. Fact, dude, you can honestly, if you really want to believe that, then you can believe that, dude. But man, you're drinking the Kool-Aid if you think that. He wasn't fired because he ran out before he got fired. All right, Richard. Okay, I'll give him credit for seeing the train that was coming. It didn't take a rocket scientist to see it. Dean Roberts, sorry, you're saying, do we know what his payoff will be? Well, I imagine it's slightly different because he's stepping down. He's not being fired. Richie, you say, yeah, talking about that sit down with fans. That was when the 1958. That was when the protests were happening. He caught wind of it and invited them in. And then I was really pissed off at that moment in time, if I'm honest, when the videos were recorded and the video was leaked. So I was thinking, finally, you've got somebody in United's power structure, and it wasn't perfect in any way, shape, or form. You finally got somebody in the power structure who's actually kind of willing to face up to fans and at least have a conversation. And you leaked the video. So if there was any chance that was going to lead to something positive that had true change, it's like, well, you've undermined that completely. But I'm so glad that he is going to have absolutely no part to Manchester United. And a really important key point about that whole thing is, let me pull this up, because this is really an important point to remember. 1 second. Should probably have got this up. 1 second there. Right. This is a really important point amongst all of this when it comes to timing. Okay. Because This is from the Sky News announcement yesterday, which I ran through. He will hand over operational control of the club immediately. Immediately, he has no say in Manchester United anymore. All right, there's not going to be a handover period where Richard Arnold is still in control of making decisions. No, all that power has been immediately taken away from him. It goes to Patrick Stewart. Okay, so Richard Arnold might not physically be leaving the club until the end of the year, but he's just a piece of furniture now. He won't be involved in any sort of day-to-day decisions. Jonathan, you're saying gardening leave effectively. Yeah, you can call it gardening leave. Gardening leave is what happens when you're leaving a job and you're told by your current, well, the point of the employers you're leaving, that you can't do anything for X amount of time or work for another company in a similar vein for X amount of time. So you can call it gardening leave if you, whatever it is. Immediately, all operational control has been taken away from Richard Arnold. He is no more at Manchester United. Patrick Stewart, SS, you're saying, what do we know about Patrick Stewart? Go and check out the video I did yesterday on Richard Arnold. I ran through everything that we know about Patrick Stewart. Well, I suppose I can tell you now. He has been a general counsel at Manchester United, and he's been involved for about 16, 17 years at the football club behind the scenes. Involved quite heavily in the minority takeover from Manchester United's perspective, in sort of building the presentations and everything there. He is actually more involved than I thought he was in sort of the day-to-day decisions, not in the decision-making process, but is sort of there as to be leaned on as an advisor. So Richard Arnold is gone, and that is great news. Is Patrick Stewart going to be the man that comes in and transforms everything? No, absolutely not. But what getting rid of Arnold with immediate effect is getting rid of, he's the most senior Glazer, if you want to do it in inverted commas, below the Glazers. He's their first point of contact, and he's now being removed. So if Joel Glazer now or Abraham Glazer or any other siblings want to know what's going on at Manchester United, they could technically still speak to Richard Arnold because he's not leaving the club till the end of the year, but he's not really making any sort of decisions. He has no influence anymore, and it'll be Patrick Stewart. But this is the transition period we are now in, because Patrick Stewart will be there on an interim basis. And I compared it to when we got Ralph Rangnick in as an interim manager, which gave the club the time to decide who's the right man. Okay, right, we'll get Erik ten Hag in, which was absolutely the right decision, by the way. Absolutely stand by that. But now it gives the club the opportunity to bring in Jean-Claude Blanc. Okay? Now, he is, I mean, it's not even, I'm not sure there's anybody else being lined up to as an alternative to Jean-Claude Blanc. I'm going to speak about Paul Mitchell and the new sporting director role in a little bit, and you can have a little discussion about Dougie Freedman there as an alternative. I don't think there's anybody else who really is being lined up for the role, apart from Jean-Claude Blanc. And you're asking down there about Brailsford being a successor to Stewart. I mean, potentially, but I think Brailsford's probably going to sit. I've got that lined up here. I have a quick minute chat about Brailsford. Brailsford, I imagine. And what I'm going to do, I think I might do it tomorrow or maybe at the weekend. I'm going to try and visualize what I see as the new organizational structure of United. I won't get it perfectly, and it's just going to be me interpreting where I see these new positions lining up. And once it all happens, we'll be able to look back on it and compare, because I think it'll be quite interesting. But I think Brailsford's kind of almost going to, I think he's going to have a new role created for him. I think he's going to be more like a chairman of Manchester United than anything else. I don't think he'll go down in the Patrick Stewart side of things. I think Brailsford is going to be the man that sits between Joel Glazer and Jim Ratcliffe. He's going to be on that table, and just below him is where you're going to get Jean-Claude Blanc and Paul Mitchell. And then I can speak about all of that. But no, I don't think he's going to replace Patrick Stewart. I think we're going to a different position. But it really is Jean-Claude Blanc who's being lined up. Now, I'm going to run through this article, and then I'm going to have a quick conversation with you in the comments. But Jean-Claude Blanc, right? We've all heard the name a lot. He is currently the CEO of Ineos Sport. So he left PSG and he was brought into Ineos Sport to oversee all their sporting teams. Now they've got Ineos Grenadiers, which is a cycling team. They've obviously got Nice. They've obviously got Lausanne. They've got a sailing team. They've got an investment. They're one of the primary sponsors of Mercedes, Formula One. They got a lot going on. So he was brought in as a CEO to sort of overlook everything, see what's what. And he is now being lined up to be that, I suppose, be that guy, but just for Manchester United. Now, I think what's going to be interesting about all this with the announcement, which it looks like it's going to be Blanc, all right? I'm going to be interested to see what they announce about his role at Ineos and whether he would step away from the Ineos role, whether he would try and do both at the same time, which I don't think is possible. I don't think that would be fair on any position he would then have. If he's CEO of Manchester United, that in itself is a full-time job and some, let alone also trying to be a CEO of Ineos Sports and overseeing 5, 6, 7 different sporting teams, all with phone calls, all with problems that need to be sorted on a day-to-day basis. I imagine it would probably have to be that he just moves to Manchester United in isolation. I don't know that yet. All right. But when it comes to Blanc, I've got a video going out today, which I'm really, really excited about myself. I might actually release it as a premiere on YouTube so we can watch it together. It's a deep dive into Jean-Claude Blanc, what he did, what he has done in his early career, in his education, what he did at Juventus when he came in, the situation at Juventus and how he helped modernize that club, and then what he did at PSG and all the years that he spent there, and then what he's doing at Ineos now and how he comes into Manchester United and the strengths and the weaknesses that he's got. It's more towards, I love storytelling content. I love, honestly, the community we've got here is incredible. And this is news content. And I'm a trained journalist. I went and I did all the studying myself. So yeah, I've got those badges and I love doing this, but I love creating proper storytelling content. I don't think there's enough of it in the Manchester United space. And I want United People's TV to be the best of that. So if you, I'm not sure what time today we'll be able to get out. It's going to be sometime in the afternoon. I'll let you know in Discord as well. I'll send the link in there. We can all watch it together as a premiere. I'm looking forward to it. But Jean-Claude Blanc, honestly, yeah, he's somebody I think to get excited about. This is the genuine beginning of a modern day Manchester United. Right now, this is the beginning of it. I hope that after Woodward left, that things might change, but ultimately the Glazers were still in complete control of the club, and nothing was ever going to change. Now the Glazers are still going to be in control of a large percentage of the club, and I'm going to run into a little bit of details on this. But things are now changing. The fact that Richard Arnold has left is a massive indicator of that. Tom, you're saying exciting times for United. Honestly, I know I think I said this yesterday. I know sometimes I get a little bit overhyped. Sometimes at individual players, I get excited about what impact they might have and how transformational they're going to be. Although I still stand by the fact that Onana is going to be an absolutely top-class goalkeeper for us once we start playing the football that actually suits his game. But this is the change. Without these changes, we were never going to win the Premier League again. We were never going to win the Champions League again. This is the start of something really, really exciting. And there's some more information I want to run through this article. I'll leave that on screen there. I'm going to pick up a few of your comments and then we can have a chat and then move on to the next part of the article. Shax, you ledge, gifting 5 memberships. 1 for Blanc, 1 for Mitchell. Gifting 5 memberships. Thank you very much, dude. There's the gong out there. Everyone, please join the Discord. But and I'll say this quickly before I move on. I'm doing some serious work behind the scenes on Discord again now. And I'm not losing focus on it this time. We're going to be doing giveaways, weekly like quizzes, competitions, live Q&As, all inside the Discord. It has to be the community home. And it's going to be, all right? And let me see what you're saying down here in the comments. Guardian Man saying, if it takes 8 to 9 weeks to ratify the deal and Ineos getting the board properly, is a chance and it can mess up the January window. When it comes to the January window, this will need a video unto itself because I don't want to speculate too much, but I'm pretty certain that Ratcliffe can invest money and Manchester United's budget would change as a consequence but then will he have to be an owner and on the board for that money to class as? Yeah, there's complications. There's always bloody complicated with United. It really, really is. All right. But the theory is there that Ratcliffe should be able to come in, invest part of his own money, and we know he already is doing that. But we expect that to go to infrastructure rather than signings. Again, this sort of information we will not have yet. Okay. Right, now I'm going to go and read a few of your questions out there. Simon on Facebook, what are you saying? If you had to restructure the whole board from top to bottom, who would you have? Geez, how long's a piece of string? We know full well who I would get rid of. I mean, I'm not sure there's anybody in that board I would keep. Maybe you keep the 3 independent directors who represent the shareholders. But why? You can't get rid of an entire board. Of course you can't. But it's not really about present. It's more about power and control. It's not really about who's on the board. It's about who actually has the power on the board to make decisions. Everton, how many people in the background do you think should go? Well, Arnold's gone, and that's one, and he's the biggest person that basically can be replaced. Because we're not going to get. I know we want to get rid of the Glazers, but Jim Ratcliffe won't be able to do that. So the top person he can get rid of as the chief executive officer is Richard Arnold. But below him, you've got John Murtough, you've got Andy O'Boyle, who's his deputy. They're like 2 of the leading ones on the football side of things. I can't remember what's his name. I think Will Keane's brother, Matt Keane. I think it was Matt Keane. He was brought in to sort of work on the negotiation side of things. You know, he kind of replaced Matt Judge. I won't do this all. It's all kind of up there. I need to write this all down myself. But Jean-Claude Blanc, and it definitely is something to really get excited about. When we talk about best in class, and it's something that, you know, Gary, it's a phrase that Gary Neville coined, right? We're looking at best in class here. Jean-Claude Blanc, I'm not sure you're going to find a better fit to be Manchester United CEO than Jean-Claude Blanc, and the history and the career history he has of modernizing football clubs, both at Juventus and his concept around the new stadium and why that was important and why that was the foundation for the success that followed, and at PSG, when he went in and realized that PSG needed to become like a digital marketing behemoth. He realized the internet, the way that the internet was going with social media, and PSG needed to be at the front of that. And he was very successful at that, and basically turned PSG into one of the most fashionable clubs in the world as far as celebrities go. He really is very good at what he does. Now, going down here, a little bit more information on the actual structure of the deal, which I think is quite interesting. We've been waiting for something like this. Now, let me read this out. We've already just spoken about that there this morning. There'll be a gap of 6 to 8 weeks. We know because that's to do with the owner's test. But look at this bit here. The Glazers are set to pocket around 650 million from the sale of their Class B shares. The other half is expected to go to non-Glazer shareholders. Now, that's the first that we have heard about any sort of structure of how this takeover might happen. And we know full well that Jim Ratcliffe's original attempt at buying Manchester United was to buy 67%, 69%. His original attempt to buy the club was to buy out all the Glazer shares. Right? That was the original offer. What happened after that point? That's when there were threats from Class A shareholders like Lindsay Train, like Aerial Investments. I think Lindsay Train owns around 10-15% of the club, but only Class A shares on the market. And they threatened legal action because if Ratcliffe bought the Glazer shares only, then it would devalue their shares. So the only way that he got through to this, seemingly, is to buy it all equally, because we've been waiting for this, right? The suggestion here from the Telegraph is that this 25% takeover is going to be 25%, but split completely equally, which means buying. So there's 6 Glazers, and then you've got the number 7 is the New York. And mate, the New York Stock Exchange, when you think about this, right? I don't know how you figure this one out. I understand the idea of buying an equal share of the Glazers shares, but does that mean that on the New York Stock Exchange, Ratcliffe buys the same percentage of shares from every person who holds shares, even if you've only got 100 shares? I don't know. Confusing. But by the looks of it, and this is definitely going to concern people even more, while Ratcliffe is going to be buying 25% of Manchester United overall, is looking like it's only 12.5% of that is going to be Glazers shares, which as it stands are the Class B shares, which as it stands are the only shares that have any sort of voting power. So again, because of a complicated share structure, some that are publicly available, some that aren't, it complicates the whole thing. But the suggestion here is that it's just going to be an equal purchase across all the Glazers. They're going to pocket 650 mil. Spoiler alert here. That 650 mil is going nowhere near the club. They are going to pocket that. And spoiler alert, the 650 mil that the New York Stock Exchange shareholders that they sell to Ratcliffe, they're going to pocket that. Which means, which was my original fear, as Joe says down there, it means that nothing from the 1.25 billion is going to go into Manchester United. Because there were conversations and the idea that maybe the Glazers could release new shares that Jim Ratcliffe buys. Therefore, they don't have to sell any of their shares. And he buys them, and that money then just gets invested into United. But by the looks of things, it's going to be an equal purchase of shares from all the Glazers and from the New York Stock Exchange. Which means when it comes to investment, this is all we're looking at currently. Because we've seen and we've heard that on top of the 1.25 billion, that's going to be the 25% takeover, Jim Ratcliffe himself is going to be investing personally. Imagine having that in your bank account. Jeez. But from his own money, he's going to be investing 250 million. Now, that is every from when Mark Kleinman, who of course was the journalist from Sky News who broke the story yesterday about Richard Arnold, he first broke the news about this Ratcliffe 250 million investment. It was all linked with the club's infrastructure. It wasn't really, Ratcliffe's going to come in with 250 mil and we're going to go sign Mbappe or some mad stuff like that. It wasn't really to do with players and transfers. It was to do with stadium, infrastructure, training ground, facilities that are years out of date. That's what that investment is going to be going toward. But by the sounds of it, none of the 1.25 billion is going to be going to the club. That instead is going to go half to the Glazers' pockets and half to those on the New York Stock Exchange who are getting their shares bought. We need more information on this, but this is the first I've seen of it. That's why I wanted to speak about it. Chidi, what are you saying down there? You've sent in a super chat. There's a couple of super chats. I'll read these out and then I'll read some more of your comments too. Abby, didn't even realize Richard Arnold was there for 16 years, never paid. Was he for there for 16 years? Don't know. Not there anymore though. Chidi, no, he tables an offer of how much he's willing to pay for the shares on the stock exchange, and if people like the price, they will sell. That makes more sense. All right, that does make more sense. And they're going to make an absolute bucket load because I think, what is it? Somebody who is a shareholder, I think they're expecting a premium in the region of $30 to $40 per share. Right now it's like $17 per share, something like that. Let's have a look. Sam, maybe do a video with Ben to clarify. Maybe not. Not sure. Jonathan, you're saying about Brailsford being best in class as a performance guru. Now, I've done this video, and yeah, Dave Brailsford has, he's not got a flawless CV in any way, shape, or form, but he was a massive innovator at Team Sky, turned them into like road champions on the cycling. Then he took that into the track as well. Did the same thing. Absolutely dominated. Ineos Grenadiers haven't particularly done well since, and that was all with like the doctor scandals and stuff like that. And Brailsford's got some black marks in his CV because of that. But people always look at Nice completely fairly, right? Up until, I don't know, probably about 14-ish months ago. Like Nice was just like bad decision after bad decision. But they made a real change after the audit of Brailsford. And this is the thing. The improvements you're seeing at Nice over these last 12 months are a complete and direct consequence. A complete and direct consequence of Dave Brailsford's audit. Everything that was wrong with Nice, this is what's wrong. This is what we need. Florent Gassolfi coming in as a sporting director. Fabrioli coming in as the manager. And now Nice are second in the league. The football they are playing is the best football that they have played. Off the pitch, they are in the strongest position possible. So I know you can look at Nice and say, well, that's just proof that Ratcliffe is a bad owner. They made some mad mistakes in the first, just poor mistakes really in the first 3 years. But when Brailsford came in and completed the audit, what's happened after that? Nice are on a very different path. And if you don't want to admit that, then cool. You probably just don't understand it. Because he's made some mistakes, but Nice are in a very strong position. And he right now at Manchester United, I don't know whether it's completely happening at this moment in time. But I'll go to the Telegraph. I think they said that it's already actually started. Where is it? Where is it? That's not written there. But I think Brailsford's sort of already beginning with his audit. And look, we can speak about Brailsford, right? We can speak about Jean-Claude Blanc. And then we can speak about Paul Mitchell. All right. And this is from the Times that was released yesterday. Okay. The Times understands that Paul Mitchell is the favourite to become the club's sporting director once the deal is confirmed. It is expected that Ineos' investment will be completed during the international break, with sources believing that an announcement is likely to come at the end of this week or early next week. And Paul Mitchell, when it comes to seeing the changes at our club, a lot is going to be sort of, you'll be able to see more of what Paul Mitchell does than you will with Jean-Claude Blanc. He's going to be more of a front-facing man. As a sporting director, there's a little bit more of a presence. I'm not saying that you won't get a presence from a CEO, because he's going to obviously be the CEO looking over absolutely everything. But when it comes to the vision of the club, he's going to be the man that really pushes that through. Jean-Claude Blanc is going to be controlling the overall vision and making sure everybody is in line and in place. But this right here, this concept of Dave Brailsford coming in as a chairman to sit between Ratcliffe and Joel Glazer, Jean-Claude Blanc coming in as the CEO to lead the vision of the football club and to make sure that our 5-year plan is absolutely executed to perfection. And then you've got Paul Mitchell coming in as a sporting director, who is the first point of contact for Erik ten Hag. Their relationship would be significantly closer than the relationship between Jean-Claude Blanc and Erik ten Hag. Not that they're going to hate each other, because they won't, but Paul Mitchell will be who ten Hag speaks to. Okay, I need to sign a defensive midfielder for this reason. Okay, right. Does that tie into the overall vision of our club? Where we want to get to? Cool. All right. I've got it covered. You focus on the pitch. I've got it all covered. Paul Mitchell, with his own contacts, with his own team, it won't just be Paul Mitchell that comes in. There'll be people that come with him as well. He'll then be in charge of leading the transfer side of Manchester United, which is, for all of us, it's probably the easiest win. I don't know whether to describe it like that, but when it comes to a successful modern manager, you have to be a good manager. Spoiler alert, tactical acumen, man management, all that jazz. But B, your club has to nail the transfer window. And just United have never done it. Under Erik ten Hag, United have still not done it. I personally look at the Casemiro and the Antony transfers are probably the two worst transfers we've done. Antony, because we probably paid double what we should have. And we just trusted the manager because, we need a right wing. This is the best one we can get. No, if we had someone like Paul Mitchell beforehand, we would have identified probably Pedro Neto. Probably someone else significantly cheaper and better fitted and suited to us. And Casemiro, the reason I would put that down as such a bad piece of business is because in no way, shape or form is Casemiro an alternative to Frankie de Jong. Like, it's night and day compared to what those two players are. Now, as good as Casemiro was last season, if you have any sort of vision and any sort of structure in place, then you wouldn't have signed Casemiro. You would have signed somebody who was like Frankie de Jong. You would have had 2 or 3 alternatives to Frankie de Jong who may not have been at that level yet, but were on the same trajectory and path, and with the right coaching in a year or 18 months' time, could maybe have grown into a Frankie de Jong level player. That's who we should have signed. And instead, we said, crap, we've lost 2 games. We need someone. Did Real Madrid just sign? Yeah, go on in. Let's sign Casemiro. The reason I say Casemiro is such a bad signing is from a planning and vision perspective. In terms of the individual, I loved Casemiro last season. Casemiro was one of the most important players in us finishing third and getting our first trophy in 6 years. But a year down the line, we're now having the same conversations around the need for the position that we signed him for. AKA, it was a short-term signing. AKA, there's no vision from Mitchell or from a CEO, and the problems repeat themselves. This is why a long-term vision is necessary. Because United have been good at like stopgap problems. Oh, we're good for 6 months. Never mind. And that's why we've had so many false dawns. Right? So many false dawns. But Paul Mitchell, that's going to be equally as transformative an appointment as Jean-Claude Blanc is. And by the looks of things, this is exactly the plan of Ineos and exactly the plan of Jim Ratcliffe. Now I'm going to go down here and read a few of your comments, see what you're saying down here. Eriksen's doing a good job filling in for de Jong so far. To a point, yeah. Well, to a point, he was far more of a natural alternative to de Jong. But Eriksen's not been the same after that injury. Andy Carroll just ended him. He hasn't, is he? But it's not too surprising really to get an injury of that scale and that size at his age after the problems that he's had before as well. It's not surprising it's taken more of a toll on Eriksen. VK Sam is too optimistic that Ten Hag will survive a proper structure and a director of football. I'm not sold on the fact that Ten Hag is the only possible solution. I personally feel that if Ten Hag is given the right time and actually has a proper structure in place and can purely focus on being a coach, I think he's perfect. I think he's ideal. Maybe results will change that. It's a possibility. I'm not going to say Ten Hag is bulletproof because he's not. There won't be anybody that's bulletproof in this change. I just personally think he deserves to have time. Time has made Ralph Rangnick look like a genius, says Nick. Dude, there were a lot of us at the time, man, Ralph Rangnick wasn't just like, when Ronaldo called out the Glazers in the interview with Piers Morgan, that was a self-serving thing that he did. Right? He did it to win back a little bit of favor at that point in time. Ralph Rangnick, just in real time, was speaking like a football director whilst being the manager of Manchester United. And obviously he rubbed people up the wrong way. And it's because the Glazers don't like listening to the truth. Nobody at our club likes listening to the truth. It's bury your head in the sand. And it's like, oh, let's move on. That's why I was so excited about Ralph Rangnick coming in, because I thought, oh my God, our club is actually starting to think about not just where we are now or where we are in 6 months, but where we could and should be in 3 years' time. And that connected thinking. You know what I did yesterday, which was awesome, actually? I wrote down a organizational structure of United People's TV. So all the people that I work with on all the short form content, on the thumbnails, on research and all that. And I wrote it all down. And I said, you know what? Where do I want United People's TV to be in 6 months' time? And in my head, I've got a vision of where I want United People's TV and the things that I would love us to be able to do that we're not currently doing. And I added all these new people into this organizational structure. And I was like, wow. And, just doing that and stepping back and comparing the structure of United People's TV now to where I want it to be in 6 months, it really gives you a vision of what you need to do to reach that goal. And Man United just haven't ever had that. We've never had the connected up thinking. We've been hand to mouth, been good for a week, good for a month, good for 6 months. And then you lose. And when the pressure comes on, you start making decisions that don't really align with your vision. And that's where somebody like Blanc will make sure that does not happen. No matter how much panic comes in, he'll make sure that we stay on the same path. And that's what a CEO does. See, that's seen down there. Looks like the jobs for boys is over, Philip says. Remember when was it when the Qatari takeover was getting linked? And we were getting linked with Rio Ferdinand coming in for a role. I can't remember who else. Evra? I think Evra's name got mentioned as well. Man, we've got Darren Fletcher probably won't be surviving. I don't think he should be either. I think he's down as a technical director at this moment in time. It depends if Ten Hag wants to reposition him to be back into the coaching side of things. Even with a new sporting team, we will need 3 years to be somewhere near the top again. I don't know. I'll be totally honest. I've no idea what a reasonable expectation is on this turnaround, because I think the Nice example is quite a fair example, right? So Brailsford came in, did the audit, which took a long time, and the changes were implemented, I believe. When was Ghisolfi appointed as sporting director? Let's have a look. That's a pretty fair comparison. Ghisolfi appointed Nice sporting director. I think it was 22 at some point. Right, there you go. So this is when Ghisolfi was brought in to Nice. So if you see where Nice are now, he was brought in October 2022. So we are 13 months into Ghisolfi's reign, if you want to call it that, as sporting director. And Nice is now top of the league because they obviously brought in a manager at the same time. And they nailed that. It was the manager that worked under De Zerbi, actually. So 13 months after everybody looked at Nice and said, oh, things are all going horribly wrong, they're top of the league. Now, I don't think that means, okay, 13 months time, brilliant. But that's what happened at Nice. So it's good to see that maybe it won't take years. And we don't know how long it will take. But truth be told, we need, as a football club, in my opinion, we need 2 absolutely solid as a rock summer transfer windows. I'm talking like just 2 10 out of 10s back to back, both in the 3 to 4 major signings we'll make in this summer coming up, and the 3 to 4 major signings we'll make in the summer after. And in both of those summers, we shift players on that don't need to be there. If McTominay is going to go, then he goes. If Maguire's going to go, then he goes. If Sancho is going, he should go. We need 2 10 out of 10s. And once that's done, this squad will be in a position where Ten Hag can lose 3, 4, 5 first-team players, and the drop-off won't be anywhere near as severe as it is now. Tom, you're saying, Sam, how do we know Nice's success isn't a one-off? In France every year, another team challenges PSG. I mean, you could throw it in that. I think Lille did it once. Mate, you seen Lyon this year? Jeez, what's happened to Lyon? Yeah, they're two completely different leagues. I'm not saying that, oh, look, we can look at Nice and see, oh, it's worked at Nice, therefore it's going to work at United, because comparing Nice and United is it's night and day. I'm just saying that at Nice, the work had been done behind the scenes. The problems were spotted. The problems were identified. The problems were solved, and Nice have improved as a consequence. And I don't think it's unreasonable to expect that that same thing can happen at Manchester United, and it already has started. The big problems at our club are to do with the structure. Everything stems from the structure. Everything stems from the ownership. And if you can't change the ownership right now, which we tried and we can't, then you can at the very least change the structure. And people were saying, oh, well, Jim Ratcliffe can't do anything. He's just a minority investor. He's not even taken over the club. Our CEO has already left because he's coming in. Change is happening. And 3 more changes. Number 1, Blanc coming in to replace Arnold. That's looking extremely likely to happen. Number 2, Dave Brailsford coming in on a formal appointment. And he'll be the sort of, he'll be the process man. Okay? If Jean-Claude Blanc's going to be the vision of saying, right, okay, this is actually where I want to get our football club to be, Dave Brailsford will be the man to help him actually manage that process. Performance director, some people are calling him there. No doubt he'll probably help with the injury side of our football team and the mentality approach as well. He's somebody who's very famous for his marginal gains. And that's how he sort of transformed the Team Sky, the cycling team, into being the world's absolute best. And he knows what it takes for elite level athletes to perform at the very highest level. Because, like, when it comes to cyclists who win the Tour de France, like, the amount you have to give and sacrifice to that is there's not many tougher than that, really. Johnny's saying, I'm trying not to get too excited by this, but it could be the turning point. It feels like it truly is a turning point, and it is a beginning. And I'm not saying that success is guaranteed past this point, but this is an actual genuine change of direction, and an actual change in who is making the decisions. And I suppose that's the big thing. It might not be a change of ownership, but it is a change of decision makers on the football side of things. And while that might not be exactly where we want to be, it is on the right path. It's a step in the right direction. Surely having a part owner that is only responsible and answerable for the sporting side is a good thing for now. Well, Daniel, as I said, it's a step in the right direction. And this is something that we need more information on. Is okay. Well, what about the full takeover? What's his full vision? When are you going to buy another 10% of the Manchester United from the Glazers? What needs to happen for that to go through? How do you achieve that? There's still lots and lots of questions. Some guys saying, is Blanc confirmed yet? He's not confirmed, but he's absolutely the standout candidate. And I don't particularly think there are any others are being lined up alongside him. Now, when it comes to the sporting director, I think that Paul Mitchell, again, is a standout candidate. But you could have a conversation about Dougie Freedman if you wanted to. I understand the trepidation towards Dougie Freedman. I see you could almost look at Dougie Freedman and say, well, Paul Mitchell, when he was at Southampton and he got the opportunity at Spurs and he proved himself, maybe that's kind of where Dougie Freedman is now. Because he's certainly shown an eye for talent at Crystal Palace, whether it's Eze, whether it's Elise, whether it's Chet Decore. They've signed players undervalued that have gone on to massively improve Crystal Palace and massively improve as players that are now worth significantly more than when they signed him. But Paul Mitchell has done that time at Southampton. He's done it at Spurs. He's done it at Leipzig, and he's even done it from an actual sporting director overall vision at Monaco too. He does have vastly more experience in different environments compared to Dougie Freeman. And I think when it comes to best in class, I think that's where you've got to say that Mitchell, as it stands, ticks that box more than Freeman. I think from a recruitment perspective, Freeman's definitely got an eye for it, and nobody can deny that. But man, this is all that's really genuinely positive stuff. Richard Arnold, vamos, son. Get out, and you can just become another bad memory, just like Ed Woodward. The lasting, imagine this, right? The lasting memory of Richard Arnold at Manchester United is you were slightly less crap than Ed Woodward. That's how Richard Arnold is going to be remembered. Just a slightly less bad version of Ed Woodward. What a CV you've made there. Michael Edwards, someone being mentioned down there. Yeah, he has been mentioned before. But I think, did Michael Edwards not set up his own company with his brother? Michael Edwards. Company with brother. It up. Man. There we go. I've got more football knowledge than I actually think. I mean, I suppose I should really. I spend all day talking about it. But yeah, I think he's what's he done? Make his long anticipated comeback by launching an advisory service alongside the club's ex-director of research, Ian Graham. Not with his brother then. But Michael Edwards could and should be considered as a potential. But Paul Mitchell is easily the leading favourite. And look at that down there. I gifted 10 memberships yesterday. I got excited. Steve, you gifted 5, and Tom, you've gifted 5. That's 10 more. And honestly, everyone, please jump on the Discord. I'm going to leave the link here now for everybody. It's free. It is the home of United People's TV community. There's great people on there, and it's only going to be getting bigger and better. A bit like Manchester United, hopefully. Now, my video today at lunchtime is good. Well, afternoonish. Is going to be about Jean-Claude Blanc. It will tell you everything you need to know about him. My video tomorrow, I might do on the actual, what's our new organizational structure going to look like, so that we can look back on it and see how accurate we were. But I think visualizing it down on paper would kind of show you the change and how things really are changing. This is only the beginning, right? Amy, you're down there saying the only way is up. Where, yeah, we've fallen far enough that you can still fall further. You can get relegated. You can get, well, there's a lot further that United could fall. But this is the beginning of actual change. Not just in the personnel, but in the decision makers. That's the reason Richard Arnold has run away before he's got sacked. That's the reason John Murtough is likely to be replaced by Paul Mitchell. Because Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos are taking control of the football side of this club. And that is something that I've been waiting for a long, long time. Thank you all for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed that show. I feel that show was quite informative. I feel that show was quite mature. Yesterday, we kind of lost it. Definitely wasn't mature. I was just enjoying the fact that Richard Arnold got sacked. But look, thank you all. If you can, please drop a like on the video. Just take 1 second out now. Drop a like on it. I'll be here tomorrow. I'll be here. Well, tomorrow's Friday. We get map up. We'll get the studio out for the last show tomorrow. And hopefully, maybe get an announcement of more exciting stuff. But I'll be here at lunchtime a little bit later with the Jean-Claude Blanc video. I'll be here tomorrow. Take it easy.